Well, to help us make sense of all these drama, both legally and otherwise, we'll have two gentlemen joining us. In the studio is Professor Anthony Agbazuere, Senior Advocate of Nigeria and Human Rights and Constitutional Lawyer. And then from Port, we'll be having Dr. Gift Worlu, who is a former Commissioner for Housing, Rivers State. He resigned from the administration of Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Gentlemen, glad to have you join me on Newsnight.
Thank you.
Let me start with you, Anthony. What's your overall sense?
Incidentally, my senior advocate is coming. So
well.
Professor
Okay.
Yes.
What's your overall sense of what has been playing out in Rivers State, where recently the administrator there sacked the appointed officials of Rivers State with regards to what the law says?
Thank you very much. Well, let me start from there. The administrator, I will link it to our constitutional provisions. The sole administrator, as it is, as of today, that proclamation of state of emergency has ceased to have effect, and I'll tell you why and how. And it's also, before I get back to that, it's also unfortunate that the administrator is going beyond the powers he's supposed to exercise. Now, by removing even those who are statutory appointees, that is, those who are enjoying an office that has a tenure by constitutional provision, he is removing them. He said a military coup. He doesn't even know what he's doing there. Now, I say that that his appointment is already has ceased, that proclamation has ceased to have effect, in the sense that if you look at that section 305, which I will also remind the public that is also an inferior section to other sections of Nigerian Constitution. It started with subject to the provisions of this Constitution. So it is subject to other provisions, including section 188 and 189, and I'll come to that. Now, before I get back to that, now, the state of emergency declared by the president can only have effect if the National Assembly is in session within 2 days, if it is supported by a resolution of 2/3 of members of the National Assembly, House of Reps, and the Senate. Everybody is aware. I have the pictorials. It was by voice vote. So that was not done. 2/3, because even if it's through electronic voting, people will count and know how many. And if I ask you now, you cannot tell us how many. For example, House of Reps, they needed at least 240 members.
Yeah, 2/3 of 309, am I correct?
Yes.
306.
And the Senate, 73. That is 72 plus. That puts 73.
109.
109. Now, you cannot tell us, nobody can tell us how many, because they didn't follow the procedure. And having not followed that procedure, the proclamation of the state of emergency collapsed at that point. That is the law. So whatever they call him as sole administrator in Rivers State, he is there now not covered by the provisions of the Nigerian Constitution. Now, and that is why I also implore Mr. President to take full advantage of the constitutional provisions again in that section 305, subsection 6A, that says that himself, Mr. President, can at any time revoke that proclamation. And or the National Assembly, that pursuant to section 305, 6D, National Assembly can by simple majority also revoke it now. And they have had a lot of people all over the world condemning what they did.
All right, I'll ask you, I'll put you on pause there. Let me speak to Gift Worlu. Gifts, this is to you. What do you make of the HOS accusations, especially coming at a time when reconciliation should be the watchword in Rivers State?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me start by saying that as a Rivers person, I think I have both the responsibility and the authority to speak on a matter that directly affects me and other Rivers people. Now, it is not correct for anybody to want to say that the president did not act properly. As far as I'm concerned, the decision to declare a state of emergency in Rivers State is and remains absolutely correct and in the best interest of Rivers people and Nigeria. The reason being that perhaps, except for the matters that were in court, which ended with the pronouncement of the Supreme Court, the president would have acted earlier than now, given the way things were going in Rivers State. I can tell you that when the president invited the parties to the matter in Rivers State for settlement sometime last year, that matter of the burning of the Rivers State House of Assembly and other matters related to it, including arson, terrorism, and all other things that threaten public peace, were on the table. And the president said, because I was there as somebody who was in government and resigned, all of us were invited. And the president tried to make all of us to understand that what was going on in Rivers State was not something that any president will fold his hands and condone. And I understand why the president said so. Because we live in a country where there is so much pretense, denial, and emptiness. Sometimes people come on television and radio, they announce them as experts, they call them all kinds of names, and you expect to hear something reasonable from them. But they end up talking sometimes from both sides of their mouth, or sometimes trying to defend who they like instead of defending the truth. Now, one of the problems we have in Nigeria, and I'm happy that today we have a president who is trying to correct that ill, is the fact that we have too many presidents in Nigeria at any given time. Instead of having one president and 36 governors, sometimes we have 37 presidents governing this country at the same time. And that is why you can have a situation where, as we have seen, in all the states, a state organizes local government election, and only the party of the governor will win. See what happened in Rivers State. We had a situation where a party that is unknown to Rivers people, as far as I'm concerned, you will rank Labour Party, even Action Congress, before APP in Rivers State. The PDP did not participate in that election.
Hold you on pause there.
Labour Party did not participate.
I hope you can hear.
Yes.
I'm going to hold you on pause there. I'm going to come back to you later. And let me just remind you that the question I asked. Hold on, Gift. Hold on. We've had you. Hold on. I'll come back to you. And I'll still ask you the same question I asked because you haven't answered it. All right. Anthony, the allegations raised by the former HOS, Mweke, what does he stand in law?
Thank you very much.
And what, because you said these were statutory appointments and the administrator does not have the power to sack them. So what happens? Those two questions.
Thank you. Let me start.
Can they go to court? What
Let me take the two together, one and then the next. Section 1, subsection 2 of Nigerian Constitution, 1999 as amended, which is our ground norm, has stated that no part of this country shall be governed, or any person or group of persons taking control of the administration of the country or any part thereof, except in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. And I have told you, before I come to Weke, that Section 305 is an inferior provision of the Constitution because it says subject to the provisions of this Constitution. And therefore, it is subject to Sections 188 and 189. That's the only way you can remove a governor, for example. 188 is talking about removal of a governor through impeachment. Then 189 is talking about removal of a governor through permanent incapacitation. You understand the point? Now, those two never took place. So that is why the whole thing is a failure. Now, Weke's allegations is talking about something that happened 1 year ago. He didn't resign. The wife said in that viral video that he told her that a friend of his said he should come to Abuja. And since he came to Abuja, called her that he had landed, the phones went off. If you see where Weke was speaking from, a little table, small table, in a hotel. And Weke himself voiced that he was in Transcorp, a civil servant coming to stay in Transcorp. Somebody kept him there. So these are very clear issues. But notwithstanding all of this, the administrator himself, like I said, his this thing has ceased to have effect. And that's why I called on the President of National Assembly to now revoke that proclamation. Weke, the President that I know, President Tinubu, I see him as a Democrat. The man talked about peace, even in his proclamation. That administrator should have been talking about how to get peace, for the state of Rivers. Instead, he's not talking about 15 billion. He's not talking about probing local governments. He wants to create problems and confusion against the peace that Mr. President, for which the President brought him there, so that he will keep staying. He has already removed the pictures of the governor everywhere in the state. And then even the wife of that administrator has taken over the office of wife of the governor. That is funny and petty. So that will tell you that it's an agenda. Are they now trying to take steps to make sure that this state of emergency will be extended, or that it cannot even be stopped within the period? I urge and enjoin all Rivers people, including even the governor and Minister Wike, they have to show love to their people and remember God. Let them make peace. I also expect that the governor will go to start looking for Mr. President and then let him know that he has nothing bad in mind. Let them bring peace. And that's the only way Rivers people will benefit. This kind of politics they are playing is not, it's not going to take them to anywhere.
All right.
Yes.
Gift. I'm back to you. Like you heard him say, like you had Anthony say there. Peace. And that was the question I asked you. The whole idea, one would believe, is for reconciliation within 6 months. And so the question is, why this from the former HOS? Why now, when everybody should be discussing how to reconcile the warring parties in Rivers? And listen to the PDP in Rivers State. They said that Weke lied, and they're calling on the president to call his minister Wike to order.
Now, the point you have made about the PDP in Rivers State is not correct. Please, let's not encourage evil for any reason. There is only one leadership of the PDP in Rivers State, and that is the one headed by Honorable Chukwuemeka Aaron. That's the person who was elected as the chairman of PDP in Rivers State. And he is the one who has the authority to speak on behalf of the PDP. That's one. Number two is that I wouldn't know why Dr. Weke chose to speak now. But I know that there's something called prisoner of conscience. Maybe the man over these months and years has lived with something that did not sit with his conscience and decides that he wants to unblock his mind and his conscience at this time. And that should be respected. As far as I'm concerned, there is no good time to tell the truth or a bad time to tell the truth. What he has told us is nothing new. It's something that we have always known. Like I said, when this thing happened, in 2023, that was when Rivers State House of Assembly was burnt down. Between then and now, the government of Rivers State under Legality Fubara did nothing to unravel the circumstances leading to the burning of the Rivers State House of Assembly. And several other things happened. There were attempts to burn down other structures in the state. Salaries of assembly members were seized. Local government chairmen were sacked. Kangaroo local government election was organized, and several other infractions. And every attempt to bring about peace did not work, including the intervention of Mr. President. And now people are talking about peace. Do you just talk about peace because Governor Fubara was suspended and a new person was asked to take charge of the state? Would there have been peace if the assembly members were not returned, so to say, by the Supreme Court? Because as far as Governor Fubara was concerned, they were no longer members of Rivers State Assembly, and he didn't elect them into office. They were elected by Rivers people, the same way the governor himself was elected. And I can tell you that when you talk about peace, this whole thing that happened had nothing to do with the former governor, who is now FCT minister. It has nothing to do with him. I hate it when people call his name and try to suggest that he didn't go to court with the government of Rivers State. The assembly and the executive had issues. And that was what led to the burning of the assembly. That was what led to the issues that went to court. Wike was never in court with anybody. And it was a PDP matter. The assembly is made up of purely PDP people, 100%. The governor is also PDP. And if they had issues, you would have expected that it would have been settled in-house. But instead, what happened? It became a free-for-all. People from everywhere. There's one guy they call the Honorable Agbazuere, who was spitting fire and brimstone, saying all kinds of things about people and about our state. And like I said, I feel sad because it is my state that is affected in all of this. So now that the former head of service has come and very categorically said that he is saying this thing to free his conscience, that he didn't say it under duress, under any form of compulsion,
all right,
and that he has debunked what even the wife said. What is necessary now is for the security agencies to go in and find out what is true from what is not, through proper investigation.
All right. I was going to just briefly, but let me just, I will come back to you with it, because one really wonders the way you are sounding, whether, because you asked, Wike can say what he wants to say at any time. So what is wrong then with looking for peace now that 6 months has been given?
I'm not against peace. I'm not against peace. I believe that if we have peace, we will have development. If we have peace, then the name of Rivers State and Rivers people will not be in the news every day for the wrong reason. But if you want peace, you must first have justice. If you want peace, you must first have truth. And part of the truth here, whether anybody likes it or not, is that a lot of people think that the now suspended Governor Fubara is being oppressed by anybody. The answer is no. These people that are having issues with him are people who toiled day and night under the rain and under the shine to make him governor. Today, he turns his back against them, and you expect that they should clap for him?
All right.
He's the oppressor, for crying out loud.
All right, give.
He's the oppressor. He's the one who is aggressing the rest of the people.
All right.
And he has to be meant to understand that there must be peace.
All right, give, because I remember the governor tried to present the budget, at a point in time. But let me come to you, Anthony. Wike has itemized certain things. Fubara has released a statement dismissing them as allegations, saying they are politically motivated. What's your sense? I mean, because the onus is on him who accuses to prove. So does the question of evidence come in here with all he has said? Because he's spoken, the governor has spoken, saying they are lies, they are false. There's no evidence whatsoever, and that for governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed, is the governor of the PDP forum. And he's coming to Rivers with an open, I mean, it was open. Everybody witnessed his coming. There was nothing secret about him. And how can such a civil servant even have access to high-level political discussions? How does the law speak to this particular issue?
Well, thank you very much. I must advise the Rivers people and all those people, including Mweke, all of them, to think again. Remember God and think right. I have been commissioner, I have been chief of staff, and I can tell you, a governor wants to give you money. Well, who is a head of service to know when he's giving you money? Assuming there's something they need to do secretly. So I don't want to go into that. But I'm just telling you, I have been commissioner for information about 3 times. I have been chief of staff to the governor. So I know how the game is played. So that is even stunning and surprising. I only want to say that the Rivers people should allow peace in their state, and that they should respect the good records and good intentions of President Tinubu, who wants peace for them. Even though he was not advised, he's not a lawyer. If they had told him, he wouldn't have even removed the governor, because that couldn't have come in. Again, the House of Assembly members, it is there in the public domain that this governor came even to their gate, was blowing siren. They couldn't open for him. He wrote again and so on. They had to go on recess. That is very wrong and bad. Again, too, we talk about appropriation pursuant to the Supreme Court decision that no state that they won't spend money without appropriation. This administrator now, why is he being allowed to spend money without appropriation?
But
I told you,
I thought it was because it's emergency. I mean,
no. The law, that emergency cannot survive pursuant to Section 1. Subsection 2 of Nigerian Constitution.
Like you have said.
Yes, that except you are doing anything within the provisions of the Constitution, you cannot even govern the country or any part of it except in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution.
So what is happening now, from what you're saying,
yes,
is this is not being done in accordance with
it's an aberration. It is very wrong. That's why I started by telling you, nobody has said this, that Section 305 is an inferior provision subject to other provisions of the Constitution, and therefore subject to Section 188 and 189. If you read that Section 305, it will see that it started with subject to the provisions of this Constitution. So it is inferior. And therefore, whatever is not stated there cannot be done by anybody.
All right.
And that, having said that, I urge them, I pray, I think either through my NGO, I may write Mr. President to catalog all these things. He has to reverse himself. He should, as a matter of urgency, revoke that proclamation and then remove that solad. It has expired. The National Assembly did not okay it. We didn't see it to thought. And apart from that, too, the man is working beyond what he, assuming even it had been okayed by National Assembly. What he's doing is not what he was sent there to do. If you read Mr. President's speech, he talked about peace.
He's working beyond his briefs.
Yes.
All right. A gift. I'll probably have your last word on this. Just like I put it to the lawyer. The governor, suspended as it is today, has made a statement. He's come out to say that all that Worker said, all allies, and they're politically motivated. He alleges that he has been compromised and that there's no way a civil servant can have access to high-level political meetings to say what he has said.
See, my brother, when you have incompetence, in action, anything can happen. Don't tell me about who has what information and who is privy to what. An incompetent person can allow anything to happen. That's one. Number two is that today, you see how quickly the governor came out to debunk what Dr. Weke has said. But it is over 1 year since the State Assembly was burned down. And his name was mentioned. Like I said, even when we went to Abuja for the talk with the president, that matter came up. He never said anything about it. Have we forgotten that after the Supreme Court judgment, that reeled out what should be done for there to be peace in Rivers State. And the president was visited by Pandef, who pleaded with him to intervene. And the president said, no, I cannot come in anymore. Privately and secretly, I tried to settle this matter. But people will not listen, especially the governor. Now you go back and do what the law has said. And the governor declared that judgment controversial. They called it all kinds of names. I remember the governor
if I remember correctly,
telling the youths to wait until when he will give them instruction on what to do.
If I remember
suddenly things started happening.
If I remember correctly, the governor said categorically that he was going to obey the Supreme Court judgment when they get the brief.
Is he saying or doing? Is he saying or doing?
And he went.
Was asked to do something. He was not asked to say something.
Yeah, but he went to one of the things that Supreme Court.
He was not asked to say something. He was asked to do something.
One of those things was to go present the budget to the House, and he did. He went, and they didn't give him audience.
He didn't. You are misinforming the public.
Okay.
The governor wants to present. The governor wants to present budget. He will write the assembly, get their consent. They will write back telling him when to come. Before he will go there, he don't just drive into a place. Is that way? I'm talking about incompetence. You just drive a car to somewhere and you think that they should open their door and be seated and waiting for you.
All right.
Things don't work that way. We're talking about an independent arm of government here for crying out loud.
We're going to leave it here. Thank you so much, Professor Anthony Agbazuere, a human rights lawyer and constitutional lawyer as well. And then, of course, Dr. Gift Worlu, former commissioner for housing, Rivers State. You resigned from the administration of Governor Fubara. Our prayer, though, for the people of Rivers State is that within this period, that as the prophet said, if people will take the bull by the horns and seek for reconciliation. Thank you, gentlemen, for being on News Night.
Thank you.